The following is the agenda for the regular council meeting of the Borough of Pompton Lakes Mayor and Council Municipal Corporation in the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m. on February 22nd, 2023 in the Municipal Building, 25 Lenox Avenue, Pompton Lakes. Consistent with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, the meeting will be open for public comments and shall be in accordance with the terms and conditions of the borough's municipal code and bylaws.
Thank you. Please stand for a prayer. Please bless this mayor and council as they deliberate on behalf of Pompton Lakes. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Polidori. Here. Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Cruz.
Here.
Councilman Delon.
Here.
Councilwoman Kent.
Here.
Councilman Bennon's excused.
Yes.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney, Mark Santararo, and our Borough Administrator, Paul Consolaro.
Okay, thank you. Okay, presentations, we're going to have a public hearing, and I know some people are here for the public hearing, on a grant application submitted to the Passaic County Open Space Farmland for Hirschfield Park improvements. We'll open the meeting for public comments on just this hearing right now. If anybody has any concerns or questions, you can step up, just give us your name and your address, try to keep it to 5 minutes, and we'll try to answer your questions as best we can. So can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Councilman Devine, Council President Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, anyone who want to address just this concern, I can offer some information. Paul, if you want to jump in there.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So this application that the borough has submitted is for Phase 2 of Hirschfield Park improvements. Phase 1, just as a quick reminder, Phase 1 is the replacement of the storage facility, bathroom facilities there, which we're going to put in the budget this year. So this grant would be applicable for next year, and we're applying for $105,000 to remove the existing playground equipment, re-landscape the area, and then replace it with new playground equipment. So that is the borough's request this year for the Passaic County Open Space Grant Program, which is open right now for 2023. And should we get the grant application, that is something that the borough will be moving forward with, of course, with the authorization of the mayor and council for next year.
So just to make people familiar, we have our own open space fund that we use here locally, and then the county has their own open space, and we apply for projects that we're putting in for. This is one of the projects that we'd like to improve the park down there. We can't change the footprint of the building that's there that houses the bathroom, so we hopefully be putting in another building with the same footprint that's there, but would have new bathrooms and a new garage to help us store equipment and eventually get down to some new playground equipment. I've said in previous meetings, the county will be replacing the cross bridge there that goes across the lake with a brand-new one-piece bridge. And the deal I worked out with them would be, when they put that bridge in, there would be no stanchions underneath it or legs, so it would help the flow of the water that runs through that bridge, and they would put it on 2 sets of footings on each end of it. So that's why we can't replace the walkway right now, because they have to put the footings in to do that bridge. We're hoping that bridge, I'm hoping it could be this year. If not this year, definitely next year. They'll be replacing the 2 bridges. It'll be the one in Hirschfield and the one over here at West Lenox with one-piece bridges. So with that, if anybody has any questions just on this, you can step up to your mic, raise your hand, and come on up. Please step up.
Nancy Schwartz, 112 Center Street, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a resident, not affiliated with any other group in town. First, I'd like to say thank you for taking a look at Hirschfield Park and giving it some upgrades. One of my sons did an Eagle Scout project on that bathhouse, I believe 2004, 2005. And at that point, we got rid of things like ice skates from 30 years before that. So it definitely needed a rehab then, and I'm certain it needs it now. The other thing I wanted to say is, in the future, could you maybe look at some kind of lighting, whether it be solar, whatever, so that when you come from the ball fields, back to the parking lot, sometimes it's kind of dark back there.
Okay,
So
something
if
we
you
can
just
look at.
kind of consider that, I'd appreciate it.
Good.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Is that a yes? Come on.
Evening, David Hackworth, 50, as a resident. I love the idea of upgrading Hirschfield Park. I think the young people in this town and grandparents and such enjoy it. My big concern is, has anybody considered doing anything about the goose population down there? Because that is definitely a deterrent to the overall enjoyment of the area and some of the athletic events that take place there for the school.
So just by chance, I got an email today. I've been part of the geese addling program for the last 10 years that former Mayor Katie Cole started, where we go out and addle the eggs, and I know Mr. Hinton is part of that too, that we go out and addle eggs starting next month, and it reduces the number of animals that come back. And we've seen a big decrease in the number of geese since starting this program. We're losing some members, so you do have to be trained to do this, and I'm asking any volunteers that would be interested in wanting to do this to reach out to Kevin McGrath. He's the one who runs this program for us, and I can hook you up with that. We go out only for a short couple of weeks, in the next couple of weeks, the next 3 weeks, and Randy, do you remember how many eggs we addled last year?
Over 100.
Yeah, it was probably over 100 eggs, which means those geese are not coming here. Those 100 geese are not coming here. But it is a big problem. I agree with you 100%. We're not the only town dealing with it. This is the best we can do right now because they won't let you hunt them. They're protected animals, and you can't bag them. You can't do anything with that.
In my conversation with the state, I started with the community. I was sent to animal control. Animal control sent me to the state. The state bounced me around as is the usual thing. I finally found someone who was responsible for Passaic County, and they told me a whole bunch of things, most that I could do, most of which are illegal in Pompton Lakes. One of the things she says is that there is a removal process, which I would prefer in addition to addling, because the goose population in my yard, which is right on the Wanacue River, at times is over 30, and with 30 geese pooping a pound of poop a day, that's a lot of mess. Also, Pompton Reformed Church, their cemetery for some people is almost impossible to have people visit the grave sites, not the gravestone area, but the grave area, totally populated with geese. I know that.
So what I would, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know they have removal a program that this woman in the state talked about, and she said it would cost the town anywhere from $6,500 to $7,500 for a removal process.
And who does the removal? The state, or
My assumption is the state.
do you have a name, someone we can call?
At this time, I have a name at home, I do not.
All right, if you could send it to me or administrator and give her the information, and we'll follow up with it.
I appreciate it.
The other thing I just would mention, if your house does have a lot of geese on it, and I know the church does, if they give us permission to go on the property, if you were to give us permission to go on the property, we'll send people over there to see if there's any nesting animals over there and addle the eggs.
They nest on the island.
Yes, we go to the
Across
island,
back of
yes.
my property.
We're well aware of the island,
And I
yes.
know when, No,
Ed Merrill?
Ed.
Yeah.
When Merrill, when he was there, he would stop by and I could always tell him he was addling over there.
Right.
And the geese population was pretty much under control, but lately it is out of control.
Okay, well, we'll see if you can pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else from the public like to address just this ordinance, or whatever it is? No? Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public session? Councilman Begg, Council President Polidori, all in favor? Aye. Against? Okay. Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes, February 8th, 2023. Have a motion?
Motion.
Councilman Cruz, was that you? Yeah, that was,
Second?
yeah, Councilwoman Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve the following bill list as stated below. Yeah, I guess you should read the resolution there, Liz.
Resolution authorizing payments of bills in the amount of $6,246,174.
Okay, can I have a motion? Councilman Begg,
Second.
Councilman Devine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Consent agenda, anybody need anything removed? Okay, Liz, whenever you're ready.
Whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda, now therefore be resolved the following resolutions on the
Should have
consent
public
agenda are
comment.
hereby approved. Resolution 23-69 through 23-82.
Okay, motion to approve, the resolutions. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Councilman Cruz,
Second?
Councilwoman Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna go back there. Okay, I made a mistake, guys, I'm sorry. We're gonna go back to, open comments. I thought it was part of the public hearing, but it isn't. So I'm gonna open the meeting for public comments on any issue you have. If anybody has concerns, you can bring that up. So can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Council President Polidori, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Any concerns, you can step up to the mic and same rules. You step up.
Alan Heimel, 284 Woolley Road, West Milford, New Jersey. I'm the owner of Block 7700, Lot 1 on Hamburg Turnpike. On Friday, I received an email from the borough attorney stating that you guys like to come on my property, start the work, and do what you have. You have an approval from the DEP.
From who?
No, for me.
From you, from the borough administrator. They have a report that you want to start to move the debris on my property. I have yet to receive a schedule on how it's being removed, how it's going to be put back, the debris, not the riverbank reconstruction. And I will not sign off. I would like to know how you're going to get the debris off my property.
All right, so we'll take one question. Is that your only question, or is that?
No, I have a lot of questions.
All right,
on this
so
email.
we'll take them one at a time. All right, so your first question is what?
How is the debris being removed off my property? And how is it going to be?
So right now, well, let Paula answer after I'm done. Right now, if you don't sign the agreement, it can't be removed. So we can't go on your property to do that.
Well, I won't sign it till you tell me how you're going to remove it and what you're going to do. I want to know how you're removing it first.
All right, Paula, do you want to jump in here?
DPW is going to remove the debris, and they're going to come on the property and remove the debris and put it in a roll-off. That'll be.
So they're going to go down there with chainsaws and they're going to cut it up and they're going to carry it up in 14-inch pieces? Is this what they're going to do all day long? Or you're bringing a piece of equipment in there?
Listen, I didn't get into the actual details of the removing. I don't.
So then how do you want me to sign off on something if you can't give me details on how you're going to do it?
If that's what you would like to know the equipment to be used, the poundage that an employee will be carrying, that kind of detail.
I would like to know if you're bringing any heavy equipment
Could
onto
you
my
do
property.
me a favor, Helen? Anything you would like us to know, put it in an email, send it to our administrator so she has it.
Mr. Mayor, I've sent certified letters.
I
How many
understand.
more times do I have to
But
do
you're
it?
asking questions right now that we want to try to address. So
I've asked them 5 times I've been to the council meetings. I was here on December 7th.
calm down. I understand that.
I know, but I'm getting nowhere.
Well, we're working towards it. We had conversation today about it. So, we are aware of it. We're trying to make it better. Your first step was to ask you to allow us on the property, which you said no to. So now we have to move to the next stage. Okay? You're not allowing us on the property.
Because you won't tell me what you're going to be doing on
All
my
right, so
property.
if that's
Look
what
at the
you're-
problem we have already with you trespassing on my property.
Correct.
Look at the problem we have already. 4.5 years. Go ahead. I have another question too.
Okay, so if you want, I'm not going to remember everything you're saying. So if you just put it in an email, exactly what you want us to do, we will do that for you, and we will get that.
Why can't you pull up the letter, the certified letter that I sent to you?
I don't know. Was that in there? I don't know.
Yes,
Was that
so all my demands are in there.
Okay, if the demands are in there, we can do that if that's what you'd like.
Well, with all fairness, a response was made with respect to some of the demands that were being honored and some of them which we could not. We now had a plan submitted to the DEP. DEP approved that particular plan. Now, understanding what we previously said we cannot do or what our limitations were. There's another plan before you. If you have questions regarding how that plan will be implemented, I would ask, I'll echo the mayor, that you tailor the questions to the particular plan that's now being proposed, because what your letter went to a year and a half ago is no longer what is being proposed today.
Okay, so
Just-
who approved the reconstruction from the New Jersey DEP?
We had conversations, and again, I'll ask our administrator, she had the conversations with,
Yeah, so I received an email from the DEP that said that we're okay with your restoration plan, however, we would like Mr. Heimel to review that plan. And I sent that plan to you for your review, as well as the pictures that were taken of all the piles of debris that we plan on removing from your property. And your response to the DEP was, no, you're not giving the borough access, and that you do not agree with the restoration plan.
And I still don't agree with the restoration plan. I would like to see, how come with this email, I wasn't CC'd or forwarded the approval from the DEP? Where's the approval? I would like to see the approval from the New Jersey DEP that they approved what you submitted to them. Where is that?
Okay.
Do you have a hard copy? You have an email of
Email.
that? From who?
From Armand Perez.
Well, I talked to Armand Perez on Friday. He has approved nothing. Mr. Perez will not approve anything on that property unless it's approved by me.
That's right, he
So
said he wants it reviewed by you.
you already told me you had the approval.
But
Okay,
he
let's
said
keep
it's
going this
okay.
You already told me you had
If you would like that.
But what I'm asking you, okay, on December 7th, when I was here, okay, quote, okay, we are gonna do what the DEP tells us to do, okay? All right? We are not fixing this property based on the desire of a property owner. Did you not say that? I know you don't remember. Okay, I am the property owner. Did you have permit, do you have an access agreement to have been on my property to de-snag the river?
going.
Did you have an, listen, I want to ask a question.
No, you can't, you're right, this is not, let's just keep the questions coming to me, and we're gonna try to address them as best we
I
can.
talked to Mr. Perez. This
Okay.
is what Mr. Perez wants from the borough of
All right,
Pompton.
but I have.
And you can verify it, you can have whoever you want verify it, okay?
So if I speak to him,
You-
and
you
he tells
speak to
me
him.
that you have to approve it, then that's what we'll
And I'm
do.
I'm trying to tell you what he wants. He's tired of having his time wasted on this, okay?
Okay, well, that's,
He wants from your engineer a steep slope river bank
so
reconstruction.
there's some miscommunication here, because that's not what we're being told by him. So there's some miscommunication here. And
I think there's a lot of miscommunication here because you're telling me you already have the approvals, which you don't because I haven't approved
In
it.
fairness, the administrator said that it was contingent upon your approval.
That's not what it
So-
says in the email. It says, did anybody get the email? Maybe you guys got a different email from me. It says to review it, we already have the approvals. Please sign the access agreement that we would like to start this.
And let me say this, Mr. Tom, I agree with you. We should show you how we're going to do it. I'm not arguing that point. I agree with that.
But how many times do I have to come here and ask that,
It's
Mr.
not, it's
Mayor?
not,
How
it's not
many
about
times?
asking it. When we speak to the same gentleman you're speaking to, which we do, I think she maybe even spoke to him today, okay? We're getting a different message from him. So what we need to do is all sit down together with him to get a final a suggestion from the DEP of what they want. And that's what we have to follow by law. That's what we have to do.
But what I'm asking you is, did you have an access agreement to access my property from the
At the
beginning?
very beginning, no.
Did you have an
There was a
access
mistake made.
agreement to stockpile
I
garbage
wouldn't-
on my
And
property?
there was a mistake made, that's all.
Did you have an access agreement to stockpile the debris on my property?
I don't have anything. in
Did
front
you
of me
have
right
an
now.
access agreement to cut my riverbanks away?
Again, I can't answer those
And
questions.
what I don't understand is, okay, I own the property. I filed a complaint to the DEP, okay? The borough of Pompton Lakes is trying to put the property back the way they want it. I'm not asking for anything than put it back the way it was. Quote, "This is a naturally vegetated piece of property. This is not a groomed landscaped English garden." Well, to me it is. It's my pride and joy.
All right, so-
And you went in there and you did what you did. I want it put back to its original state.
Here's-
I don't want a vegetated
Here's the
garden.
problem
I
with your
don't want
statement.
grass.
Here's the problem with your
I-
statement. It's not by your statement, it's by what the DEP tells us to do. So if the DEP says we should do that, then we're going to do that. If they tell us we don't have to do that,
I don't understand why I wasn't forwarded the approval from the DEP.
Well,
I have a thing that it's already approved by the DEP.
Mr. Mayor, may I just?
Sure.
We'll make sure that you have the direct communication with the DEP so that it lays to rest whatever your concerns are about what they're relaying. To the extent that you're told something different than what the administration was told, we're going to have to investigate that.
right, we have to.
The issues about restoration that you seek, I think everyone up here understands why you feel the way that you do. But DEP has rigid regulations as to what they will permit or not permit for any reason to occur on a riverbank or a piece of property that's in a designated floodplain. So there are things that while you may want to be done, will never be permitted to be done, and therefore the borough can't do it.
So then what do we do about that?
There's
So
nothing
I
we
have
can
to-
do about that.
The borough has to do something with it. They're gonna make restitution to me then. Because you went in and did what you did to my property. It's not what I wanted. I didn't ask for it. I've said this again. You did it without my permission twice. Twice you went on my property without permission. The police told you not to do it, and you did it twice. And you don't care what you did to my property as long as you got what you got done. And why are we not holding the contractor accountable? And why is it the taxpayers' dollars have to go in there now to correct the problem, to pay the DPW to cut up these little pieces? It's a tractor trailer load of debris. It's not just one roll-off. You need at least 2 roll-offs to get rid of this garbage.
Well, we're going to have to explore that, and to the extent that you're not satisfied with
I'm not
whatever's being
satisfied.
done.
I haven't got any satisfaction in 4.5 years.
Okay, but so, I think, and to be honest here, I think in the last 3 months, we've made more progress than we've had in the last couple of years. So we are trying here. We're not trying to stall this out.
Yes,
And
you are, because you know what's gonna happen now? Now you're getting into trout season. You're not gonna be able to do any of the work down there because you can't disturb the river.
I
You
can't,
do that.
if we get, so let me just say this, if we get a no further action from the DEP, and I'm not saying we did or didn't, but if we were to get that, would mean we are done with what we need to do. That's what the final result is of this, a no further action
Well, let
letter.
me ask you a question. Can we do this? Because I've talked to Armand Perez, and he told me what he wants, and I had every right to have that property put back the way it was naturally. Why can't we get together so we can have a meeting with everybody? Instead of he said, she said.
I could ask the administration if that's something you're interested in or not, that's up to you.
You know, Mayor, we're going to discuss this matter in closed session tonight, and I think it's best that we,
Why is that always happening? Why can't I be involved in what goes on my property? It's my property. I pay taxes on that property, not the Borough of Pompton Lakes, not the DEP. I do. It's my property.
it's going to be discussed under contract negotiations. It's a closed session.
It's a closed session, and you're not,
Discuss.
yes, you'll get the information, we will come out and we'll tell you how that came, what the result was, but we have to
I'm not
discuss
getting
it.
results now. I've asked
I
a million times for you to show to me how you're getting debris off, what you're doing, and if you're bringing equipment on there or what you're doing, and there's nothing with that in the email. I have pictures of the debris, I have whatever. I already have a call into that cord log or whatever to see if that's satisfactory for them for what you're doing, waiting for them to get back to me. I'm on top of this. And I'm telling you right now, Mr. Perez wants a steep slope riverbank reconstruction. That's all he's gonna approve, because he wants me to be happy. That's what he told me. Quote.
Well, we'll
have to
take what you're
discuss
saying under advisement and
And
we'll
look,
discuss it.
give us a little time, I know you
Mike,
want
I'm
to
not
hear
giving you
that.
any more time.
Okay, well then you do what you have to do at that point.
And while we're on the thing, I used to allow the town to come on and coddle eggs for the geese. No longer.
That's
I don't
up to
want
you, that's your
anybody
choice.
on my
Look,
property.
we're at the point now, if you're frustrated and you have to do what you have to do.
You know what the problem is, Mike, or Mr. Senator, Mayor? I think it's personal on your borough administrator. She's taking this personal, that she doesn't like the way I have to be more professional. Okay, she said that on the last thing. Hopefully you can be more professional. You can change your demeanor. So it's a personal thing against her.
I
I
don't say
honestly
that.
think she should be removed from this because she's not handling it the proper way. I've asked a million times just what you're doing on my property.
And I
don't get
understand,
that
and
answer.
we already
And how many
said,
times are you gonna tell me you
We're gonna
understand? I'm being a
discuss-
dead horse here.
we're going to discuss it as a council tonight in a closed session, so we are making movement on this. I know you don't want to hear
You
that.
already had a closed session when
And we're
you
going to have
asked,
another one on the information we were given
and I
today.
have heard nothing. You asked I don't want to call you Paul, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to pronounce your last name right, okay? You asked her, what if I didn't agree with it? And then she spewed off about what we're going to do what the DEP approves. Then you asked the attorney, and the attorney said he would rather not comment on that in an open session, that'll be in closed session.
Because the council has to have an opinion too. It's not just
I
my,
understand that, but how come I don't have an opinion?
you will once we come up with this.
Does anybody on this council, including Paula, feel that it's right that you went on my property and did what you did? If I come to your house and I hear...
We're not gonna answer it. We're not gonna answer.
You don't answer anything.
We can't, we're trying to make this better. We are. Okay, give us some time. There's not much I can give you now.
4.5 years.
Okay, but it's
4.5
there was
years.
a different administration, a different person who was handling it. There's different people at the DEP. There's a lot of changes here. Okay, so we've made a lot of progress, in my opinion, in the last
How
couple
long
of
have you
months.
been mayor?
8 years.
8 years. So I think you were mayor when it first happened.
Yes.
So where am I getting?
You're getting
4.5 years. So in 4.5 years, you think the last 3 months is great?
No, what I'm saying is the DEP is telling us other things too that you might not be aware of. So there's things that are missing.
Oh, I'm aware that you're getting into a time restraint
No,
because that he has to approve you
I
doing the river.
appreciate your time. We're gonna get back to you on it. Yep, we're gonna have a closed session tonight.
Trust me, I won't hold my breath.
Okay, but if you need to take other action, you take other
I'm not
action.
taking action. I never said I was going to.
No, I'm just saying, if you need to. you
No,
take
I'm not
that.
going to pick up action.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I don't have people at my disposal like you do. I would have to pay for it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gary Fitz, 78 Albany Avenue. I'd just like to backtrack just a little bit with regards to the Hirschfield Park situation. Now, this may not affect a whole lot of people in town, but I happen to live right in the back of Hirschfield Park on Albany Avenue, right behind the basketball courts there. And I was just wondering about a noise ordinance in the park. Now, the improvements sound great, and I like what the gentleman said about bringing the children down there and maybe his grandchildren, but some of the noise and the vulgarity that comes from the music that's being played by a lot of people down there to high volumes, when you hear the F word and the N word and other really bad words coming out, like I can hear it in my kitchen when I'm standing in the kitchen. And there's times when I have to actually take my grandchildren inside because the music's too loud and the vulgarity that's coming out of it is just abusive. So
the part, oh, I'm sorry, you have more?
yeah, so my question is, like, you know, I called the police department a number of times and they come right down and they ask the people to turn it down, which they do, but I'm just wondering, what, if any, noise ordinance there is. Is there an allowance to play music at high volumes down there, like things like that? That, and besides that, the littering that goes on, I have pictures, which I'm not gonna take up everybody's time, but, you know, these are pictures that I see on a daily basis when I go outside my back door. And it's just absolutely filthy, and I see the DPW down there busting their butts, picking this up, you know, almost on a daily basis. That on top of the graffiti that's been something new within the past year or two, which I also have pictures of on my property, which I had to remove myself, and on all of the playground property, which, you know, if we're gonna put in new playground, you know, apparatus for the kids, it would be nice not to have to see a lot of this stuff that's actually just going around. And
I don't mean to interrupt, but can you bring those photos
oh,
over here?
absolutely, sure. Yeah, these are the.
And I'm just gonna share them with council. You can come back, I'm just gonna share with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are, that's what was graffiti, and this is the litter that's down there. I'm basically on a daily basis, and I do go out a lot of times.
Go back to the mic just for a
Sure.
second.
And I do go back a lot of times myself, and I'll pick up most of the stuff that's out there. But, you know, it gets tiresome when you have to do that all the time.
So let's start with,
Let's police that some other
the
way.
policing, I definitely gonna reach out to Bill. You know, I want you to contact the police department. I'd like to get them down there more often. Okay, but that's a separate issue. So the noise ordinance part, the state changed the guidelines on noise ordinances, so we're trying to deal with that. It involves now having a meter to measure the noise. You can't just file, in the old days, you could just file a complaint, a
Right.
noise complaint. Now it has to be a decibel meter, and it has to be, reach a certain level, and the state has to be involved with that, and you have to have a licensed person to do that. So I know the attorney has been working on new ordinances that we can kind of put in place for that. But that doesn't make things better for what you're saying when your grandkids are
With
there.
the vulgarity.
Right, with the vulgarity.
You know.
The only thing that's gonna make that better would be a better police presence down there during the day and to do that, so we will move that forward definitely.
Mhm.
I will also talk to the DPW about patrolling that a little bit better. Now, look,
That would be great.
you've done sports, I know, we've all done sports.
Right.
Sometimes kids just throw their garbage on the floor and keep
Yeah.
on moving. You know, so it's a uphill battle all the
Yeah,
time.
you can't be there all the time.
Right,
so-
but I will have them patrol that much more often. I'm more concerned about having a better police presence there, so those things are not happening.
I agree.
I don't want to see graffiti on the playground equipment, that's just unexcusable.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's an area where a policeman can sit a little while and just watch what's going on. So
Right.
I would definitely have a conversation with the chief
Mhm.
and see if we can work something out.
I agree with that 100%, yeah. Even like in the past, when my kids were growing up, I know that at times some of the police officers would actually get out of the cars, go down there and have a conversation with the kids or whoever was down there, you know, just saying, hey, how you doing? Or, you know, hey, maybe you should, you know, there's cans everywhere.
Yeah, there are.
There's cans to put all the garbage and everything, but like, just, like you said, a little more police presence.
Yeah, we can definitely
might be
do that.
very helpful.
Yep,
Yep, that's it.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else from the public like to address?
Thank you.
You step up.
Good evening, Mayor. Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. I just had some questions on a few of the resolutions. Resolution 2375, number 6, Daniel's Law Redactors. What is that?
Hold on. Yeah. go ahead.
So there was a revision to the Open Public Meetings Act following, I think it was an assassination of a judge's child that required, now municipalities have to provide an opportunity for certain classes of residents, people in law enforcement, judges, to redact their name off of the public tax roll in order to protect their residents. And this resolution is to designate the individuals who will be doing that. And you have a certain length of time within which to respond to someone requesting to be placed on that list. That's why we have multiple names, because if someone's on vacation or out ill, you need to have backups.
All right,
That's
so
all.
that's, yeah, I'm familiar with that. I understand. I was just curious as to the
Mhm.
wording on that. The number 8, Resolution 2377, appointment of Raymond Hayducke.
That's just
disciplinary-
appointing hearing officer for disciplinary hearings for the police department.
Oh, it's just for the police department,
Correct.
not for all borough employees?
Correct.
Okay. And also 13, 2382, authorizing award of a non-fair and open contract. What do you mean by non-fair?
It's just a process used by the state of New Jersey to comply with any contract that falls between $17,500 and $44,000. Non-fair means that they have to comply with pay-to-play rules and regulations.
Oh, okay, I thought the limit was 17, it's 17 to...
So this is called a window contract. Any contract between $17,500 and $44,000 must comply with pay-to-play regulations, and it could be a contract awarded in a non-fair and open basis.
All right, so no other bidders would be bidding on that?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 2309, compensation for the MUA.
Yes.
I noticed that in the salary ordinance, 2376, salaries were available out here, and but MUA salaries, you would have to go to the MUA?
They set their own salaries, yes.
Okay. So that's not available here then?
Not that I know of, I don't know.
Okay. But the mayor and council has to approve that?
We just have to approve it, yes.
It is in the ordinance.
Is it in the ordinance? Okay, Liz is telling me it is in the ordinance.
Okay. With inflation, we're still getting salary increases?
Who, the,
For everybody?
Everybody, yeah, everybody in, most unions are getting
A lot of
raises.
towns that don't have salary increases,
Show me one.
for mayor and council, I'm talking.
Oh, you're talking about mayor and council?
Yeah,
We're part of the group of people considered in the union, non-union employees. So yes, everybody gets a raise. Our raise is minimal. It's less than $100. It's 2% of a very small number.
oh, 2% this time?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But there are other towns in our areas that the mayor
I don't
and
know that. I
council
wouldn't
take
know.
no raises at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
I'll talk about that more later, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman Devine, who was that? Council President Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right, let's go back to the ordinances. First reading, too.
Ordinance 23-09. Final adoption will be on March 8th. An ordinance amending section 50-3 of the Code of the Borough of Pompton Lakes entitled Compensation by increasing the compensation to members of the Pompton Lakes Municipal Utilities Authority.
Motion to approve ordinance 2309 for introduction.
Motion.
Councilman Cruz?
Second.
Councilman Devine, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan is excused. Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Deline?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent?
I'm recusing my vote.
Okay. Ordinance 23-10, an ordinance of the Borough of Pompton Lakes, County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, vacating the right-of-way designated as Locust Street in the borough.
Motion to approve ordinance 2310 for introduction. Councilman Bay?
Second.
Councilman Deline, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Deline?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Quick one. Under my report, I'll start with the appointments. I'm going to appoint Paul Bobley as an alternate 2 to the planning board to fill an unexpired term, 12/31/24. Could I have a motion to appoint,
Not a motion, just a roll call.
no, I'm talking about the next one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, roll call on that?
No, you don't need a roll call
I
on
don't
that
need a
one. You're saying correct.
Thank you.
But with regard to the Board of Adjustment, it's your appointment, then a roll call.
Yes. Motion to appoint, consent of the council, Mark Figula as alternate 3 to the zoning board of adjustment to fill an unexpired term, 12/31/24. This gentleman approached me at the zoning board meeting. He has 25 years of experience in Franklin Lakes on the zoning board. Just moved into town in the last 2 years and is interested in taking a position on the zoning board. So can I have a motion?
Not a motion, just a roll
A
call.
roll call,
I'm
please.
sorry.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Deline?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, under my report, I attended the open space meeting where we're still determining how we want to spend some funds moving forward. There's some good ideas, like we mentioned at Hirschfield Park, maybe at Lakeside Park, some of the other playgrounds. So, you know, we collect a small fee on our taxes, and then we also ask for money from the county every year to improve our projects. So we can sometimes roll over that money a year or two at a time, and that could be, you know, a little bit of money. So we're looking to redo a lot of things in town with that open space fund. I attended a wedding yesterday that I performed. I attended a grand opening with a bunch of people here in the council. We had a meeting with the court and the head proceeding judge for the county, and had some discussion about how our court runs, and it's running very well and doing a great job there. I attended the planning board meeting last night, and at the planning board meeting, they talked about a subdivision. I know Councilman Brennan wasn't there, so he would be reporting on that. There was a subdivision of a property. We had an ordinance committee just today, and we talked about some of the ordinances that we've been talking about that I think Councilman DeWine will talk more about. Attended a personnel committee with some of the people up here. We had some concerns with some things, and we're going to try to straighten that out. I got a call from the church on Ramapo, Christ Church, asking if we could put in a crosswalk there, because a lot of people are crossing there to use the church. And I made a call to the county because it is a county road, and the county was more than helpful in suggesting they will, if we want, not only put in a crosswalk there, but also put in a flashing light system there also at their cost. So I think if we're liking that idea, we'll move forward. I know the church was very happy about hearing that. They had asked for it to be done there. That is a county road. So hopefully we can get a crosswalk in there with some flashing lights. And there's just two residents I'd like to pull out. Jennifer Watts, who ran a coat drive for the last 6 months over on West Lenox Avenue and Ringwood Avenue there. And she had a rack up there that anybody could put a coat on who needed a coat and take a coat if you needed it. She's done it the last couple of years. She's never really asked for any attention for what she does. And she keeps it nice and neat and tidy. And I can tell you it was a big, I've seen, because I live on that corner, I've seen a lot of residents using it, dropping off coats and picking up coats. So I always have to thank her for that. And just a little heads up that Mary Beth Morton will be having her cancer benefit this weekend. She is another resident that spent a lot of time in the last years putting together this cancer benefit. She raises a lot of money over the years for this. And, she's another one of those quiet residents that does a nice thing for the community and nice things for the town. I will need 2 closed sessions today, one for personnel and one for negotiation. And that is my report. Council President Haldor.
Thank you. I also attended the planning board meeting as well as the open space meeting. We continue to discuss with the group the upcoming improvements for Hirschfield Park first, but additionally, we are now working with the DPW on finishing the landscaping around the sculpture at Lakeside for a planned event in the spring. Paula, I believe we're going to work with coordinating with the county and the school to have the families of the children that painted the sculpture. I know we did a little bit of a reveal at Pompton Day before it had been painted. After that, some of the students in the Gifted and Talented program did paint the design, and then the DPW sealed it, so they are going to go down and finish the landscaping now so that we can actually celebrate it in its completion with the children and the families and the member of Open Space and our community. So hopefully when we have a final date for that, we're looking at possibly the 2nd or 3rd week of May. You'll all come out and join us for that. And speaking of events, I know toward the end of last year, Councilwoman Kent and I had brought up the possibility of maybe planning something early summer, late spring for all of our volunteers. There were a few groups that went out and celebrated their last meeting of the successful year of working together on their own. It would be nice if we could bring all of our groups together and maybe do ice cream in the park or a picnic or something to get everyone out with their families to thank them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And employees too.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And definitely outside in one of the parks while they're permitting.
Hot dogs,
I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
A nice way to thank everyone.
Yeah.
And there were 2, actually, I also attended the grand opening at Raiden Fitness, so I want to welcome them to the community. It's a great place. I hope that they are successful and stay. And there were 2 items I had asked about in the last few meetings that I just wanted to follow up on. One of them being the resident that had reached out to me on social media and asked about recycling materials for elderly people, some type of a permit pass.
Yeah, we spoke about that today in the ordinance committee. We're still working on that.
Okay, so we are going to move forward with some type of a...
We're still discussing it, yeah.
One of the things you're going to be speaking on?
I'll talk about it.
Okay, perfect. And then the other thing was, it's been, I guess, since the January meeting, because there was no February meeting, moving forward with having the redevelopment planning and zoning boards recorded with the link uploaded to the borough website. I'd like to move forward with that. It actually is a decision made at this day. It's not in redevelopment. So what do we need to do to have that?
I was under the impression that the governing body as a whole wanted to move forward with that
We do.
ordinance. So I have an associate already working on it and is going to be utilizing Wayne and Parsippany's ordinances as a kind of a template to work off of.
All right, perfect.
And you were going to find out the cost involved with that.
So, yes, so we pay for the leak to be done by the company that has our court system, and then we already pay for the gentleman who put it on 77. I don't know the additional cost to make additional links, but I don't think there should be one.
All right, so just so we can get those numbers too. Okay.
Perfect, thank you. That is my report.
Councilman Vick.
I attended the Pompton Lakes Borough Bid meeting on January 19th, 2023. Chairman Robert Walker talked about reinstating the grant program, signs, awnings, lights. 4 marketing programs designed to get people into stores and businesses. 5 events to include annual paint and plant pumpkins and scarecrows, holiday stroll, art on the avenue, love photo contest. Marketing with the mail-in addition to social media. Increase bid bucks by 10K or 20K. I received the Pompton Lake Fire Department report from Fire Chief, Prevention Chief John Keating. He reports 26 alarms for the month of January. I received the CERT Activation Development Report from Deborah Ross. She reports the CERT volunteered 67.75 hours for the month of January. I received the Pompton Lakes Riverdale First Aid Squad report from Chief Mark Zoni. There were 76 calls for service for the month of January. 49 in Pompton Lakes, 7 in Riverdale, 17 calls in Wanacue. There were 51 medical emergencies, 11 trauma calls, no CPR, no MVA, and 3 fire calls. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department report for the month of January from Chief Derek Clark. There were 2,291 calls for service for the month of January. There were 364 motor vehicle stops, 419 summonses issued, 1 DWI arrest, 31 motor vehicle accidents investigated, 82 ambulance requests, 18 alarm conditions burglary, 4 alarm conditions fire, 0 burglaries, 10 thefts, 0 sexual assaults, 0 aggravated assaults, 18 domestic violence calls investigated. The Detective Bureau investigated 15 complaints, served no subpoenas and no warrants. They conducted 15 background checks for guns, permits, 12 background checks for military and police agencies. They received 5 raffle and 1 bingo application.
Thank you. And while you're talking about the police, I should mention that, I'm sure people have read in the news, there's a big rash of catalytic converters being stolen off the bottom of cars. And that we've been asked to, if you're coming home at night and you see somebody hanging around on your street or hanging around cars, give the police a call. It can't hurt by calling them. You're not hurting anything by alerting them that somebody's walking around. If they just stop and say if it needs help or needs something, but, that's how we're gonna find these crimes out, because they're in and out very quickly. I can tell you, it's happening in Pompton Lakes. We've had catalytic converters stolen in Pompton Lakes. So just keep an eye out in your neighborhoods for that.
The other thing I would say is your keys or your cassette for your cars, make sure that they're taken in the house.
Unfortunately, I know we all love Pompton Lakes, but cars are stolen in Pompton Lakes. My own car was stolen years ago in Pompton Lakes, so it does happen. Councilman Cruz?
Thank you, Mayor. Just have a couple of items, just updates from the district. So they're still hiring, there's still employment opportunities. They're still hiring for part-time bus drivers and substitute custodians, day and evening shifts available. Please visit the website or contact the Board of Ed office for further details. PLHS is also having Fine Arts Night on February 23rd. That's going to be from 6:30 to 10, and they'll be featuring woodworking, culinary arts, photography, live music, sculpture, painting, and drawing. We also have the PLEF Tricky Tray. That's going to be held on March 18th at the VFW starting at 7, and that's $25 per person, includes one ticket sheet. Bring your own music. Bring your own music. Jesus Christ. No, sorry about that one. I did not create that. It's bring your own food, cash bar, and drinks will be provided for you, and that'll do it for my report.
Do you have a motion?
Oh, I do have a motion on that. Yes.
And whatever you found out, by the way, about that motion.
Yeah, and I'll speak to that. So if you were here at the last meeting, we had a motion here to provide an alternate route for the parade this year for the Little League. So I did reach out to the board, and the board came back and said they want to continue with the original route that they had. Now, the alternate route was to take through high school and go up Ramapo versus going through the business district. And there were some concerns, obviously, not only for the businesses, because it's closed for a period of time, and the impact to them. But at this time, the Little League decided just to maintain or keep the existing route that they have today. So the motion we're going to be right now is to approve that.
Okay, good.
Okay? So motion to approve request for Pompton Lakes Riverdale Little League to conduct the annual parade that leaves the Pompton Lakes High School parking lot and marches through the business district to the Joe Grill Little League complex near the south end of town for opening ceremonies scheduled for Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, starting at 12 p.m. During the parade, the police department will temporarily close the route. Portions of this route include county roads, notify police, fire, and first aid.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, thank you. Councilman Devine?
Thank you, Mayor. Last Wednesday, I attended the MUA meeting where they held their reorganization meeting. As I reported at the end of our second January meeting, originally I had reported that John Wegley was going to be retiring in June. However, he is going to delay his retirement to May 2024.
Oh, okay.
In addition, the MUA board discussed the letter on compensation of the MUA board members, which we just introduced tonight. One point of note is that they did not request an increase in their compensation in 2022. So this is at least trying to catch up on 2023. And then MUA employees conducted 17 sewer and water markouts in the month of January, including the emergency markout at the house fire at 945 Ramapo Avenue. This month, the redevelopment agency meeting was canceled because there were no, agenda items to discuss. Tonight, the ordinance committee met. We had a number of items of discussion. If the council remembers, we were given the Parks Event Permit Ordinance and the Boating Events Permit Ordinance at the end of last year. We discussed that tonight. There's some changes that I think we're going to make, at which point I will distribute a draft out to the council members for your review and feedback. We did discuss the sale of cats and dogs at the retail stores, which was an email that was recently sent to us. I think generally the ordinance committee is in agreement. There's 138 municipalities that have passed that prohibition. That was information that the resident, or at least the interested party, had passed along. So again, I think what I'll do initially is pass that around, get a general sense on the council's feelings on that particular prohibition, in which case we can look at introducing it in the near future. And then finally, we discussed the, I guess, disposal of landscaping material on behalf of senior and disabled residents. We unfortunately did not get too much into that. I think there's a lot of potentially complicated issues. So in which case I will be reaching out to the council members. Council members, just kind of throwing out some ideas, getting some feedback on that, see if we can't draft something to that effect. And then finally, we discussed, I think, some discussion about responsibility of maintaining curbing in the borough of Pompton Lakes. I think there was a lot of concern about trees heaving. Curbing, and right now, the way that our ordinance reads is that the resident, much like sidewalks, are responsible for maintaining that curb line, even from heaving of trees and things like that. I think at this point, the change of the ordinance could provide maybe greater complications. I think what we're going to do more than likely is take it out of more of a case-by-case basis. Where there's road projects where we can do repairs, we will look to do that as the municipal budget allows. However, going through and maintaining curbing every time a tree is maintained or pushes out the curb, I think would be cost prohibitive to all the residents of Pompton Lake. So I think we're going to take it more on a case-by-case basis. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the residents for coming out tonight and supporting the Hirschfield Park Resolution 2371. My personal feeling is Hirschfield Park is the gem of our community as far as parks, and it does need improvement. It's looking, a little tired, and with that open space money, I think we can do a really nice job. So I do thank you for all your support on that. And Mr. Pitts, I do agree that, we do everything we can to try to clean up that debris, and it's an education issue. And the Environmental Protection Committee and 9 members, Mike Shackertown is one of them, we're going to try to do a litter program, a training program, and an educational awareness program, because people seem to be forgetting, and that's not right. So we're going to look in, we're setting up a program, we're going to be working with the bid on doing that. Okay, so just want you to know I'm with you on that. Thank you. I was sick with COVID, so I didn't do it too much outside, but I did do some virtual meetings. I do apologize to the Shade Tree Commission because I was sleeping when that meeting came. I needed my rest, and but I did try to do some virtual meetings. I did attend virtually the Environmental Protection Committee and the Open Space meetings. And I am very happy to say that we do have a very generous contribution to our river cleanup program from Columbia Bank by Gene Huffman, who's I believe is the president of the bank over there. It's a significant amount of money that they're donating, and it'll help pay for our shirts, because we anticipate a lot of volunteers.
Maria, the date? Just say the date. Well, you might as well say the date.
Oh, am I allowed?
Yeah, sure.
May. Oh, I thought. Okay, May 6th. That would be a Sunday. Right, Mike? Yeah. And we're looking to, we had over 100 residents and people from outside the community as well help. And we're looking to, maybe even double that number, but anything more than 100 would be great, because we just keep growing that whole program. And there's a lot of pride, and a lot of people really enjoy coming out just for a couple hours, and we have a lot of fun. We have prizes, so on and so forth. Mayor and council all come out, we all help, superintendent comes out, so we do have a lot of fun with that. But if you can come, please put that on your calendar, and there will be more information on that. I did attend personnel meetings virtually, and I did not attend, unfortunately, the ribbon cutting, but I think the ribbon cuttings are really important, because what I understand is that, after they get the mayor and council coming out, the business actually increases. And I talked to a couple businesses, and they were very happy with the ribbon cutting, so it's a really important thing. Please support our downtown community. I was going to ask, all mayor and council received an email from the state New Jersey DEP regarding a program in stormwater management for towns. Evidently, there's a $19 million grant, so I'm hoping that we can, participate and hopefully be a recipient of some of that grant, but I guess we'll need to have some people attend that. It's scheduled for March 10th at 10 to 11, so if we can do that, that would be great. I am the self-appointed Channel 77 sheriff, and I have to tell you, it's running really well. And we have 4 council meetings a day instead of, just, having nothing. We went to 4, and it's been running every day very nicely. And I want to thank the gentleman and Liz and Paula who are continued to operate that. Today, I received a beautiful, very old photo of the Pompton Lakes Fire Department from a gentleman in Pequannock. They were cleaning out their basement, and they found an old box of old stuff. And when they turned this over, they realized that this was Pompton Lakes way back, probably in the late 1800s.
Wow.
And because they think that because it doesn't say Pompton Lakes, it only says Pompton. So that might be from when it was Pompton Township, when they were part of Wanacue. Anyway, you can see it's very, very old. I contacted Al Evangelista, and I sent him a picture, and they're thrilled with this. So I was going to let Al take this, show the fire department, do whatever they do, and then he was going to give it to the Historic Commission. So we kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I thought Al would be here tonight. I was going to give it to him, but I will give it to him this weekend. And Mr. Heimel, I would like to resolve your problem. Let's try to get this done once and for all, because it's very stressful for you and it's stressful for us. Just finish it, but you're dealing with 3 different agencies. Sometimes it's just the way it works. So if we can put all our heads together, there's no reason this can't get resolved. That's my opinion. So I want to thank you. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. That's a nice picture there too, and maybe we can either hang it at the fire department, or if you're keeping it, I don't know, or if you want to hang it here, or whatever you want.
I'd like to hang it in a place that is
Fire department would be
visited
a
by,
good spot, yeah.
well, as long as it's visited by the public.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
You should bring it, also mention it to the historic.
Yes, I will, yeah, thank you.
I forgot to mention in my report, and Paula might mention it in hers, thanks to our help of the attorney, we've been in an opioid settlement, case. We've been receiving funds, and we just got notified by another lawsuit that is going to be handling opioids for different pharmaceutical companies for us to join. So basically, hopefully, we're getting some more money from them too. So if more of these groups open up, more money will be coming into the town. Every town is getting a piece of the opioid. If you register and complete the application, get a piece of it. It comes in drips and drabs, but we've received how much, Paula, already? Maybe
9,200.
9,200. So every month they get us a little check, and now we'll be in another one. So that's good to see. Professional report. Any report?
Not particularly, Mayor.
Okay.
If someone has any questions about any of the ordinances, I certainly could discuss them, but I think they're fine.
Okay. Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I just would like to say that thank you to Columbia Bank. They donated $750 for the borough's 20th anniversary river cleanup. So that certainly comes in handy. The borough received $14,649 in the recycling grant this year, so that'll be an item of revenue in our budget this year. I myself applied for reimbursement. FEMA put out as part of disaster recovery, biological hazard, opened up the floor for a Category B submission that I took advantage of, and the borough will be getting $41,000 for keeping our borough clean as possible. Hopefully COVID-free, no one got any COVID coming here. I also want to say that, yes, the opioid dollars are as a result of settlements, and those funds are to be used to offset our efforts to mitigate drug use, and hopefully we can continue, with this borough has already done with its coalition grant I'd just like to say we're still looking for a coalition coordinator. If anyone's interested, please give me a call. It's very important.
Did that gentleman I sent you come?
Yes, so.
We'll talk about that later, it's okay.
Yeah, we're, you know, it's a very important part of our community. Drug use has always been a problem among any age, particularly our youth. You know, you're seeing a lot of overdosing, and, you know, some of this money will go for Narcan or our EMT, so that's the funding for that money. And also, as I said, we already have, I think Liz had mentioned a closed session for personnel, but also closed session for block 7700, block 1.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions from the administration? No? Okay. Where are we? Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Council President Polidori, Councilman Devine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Hi, Lisa Kilberg, 158 Mountainside Drive. I was at the planning board meeting, and I did see we were using the screen, but I thought that when we got it 5 years ago, it was supposed to be used to put the plans up on there, and no one else saw the plans but the people on the dais. I just thought, is there a way to actually get them on the screen?
Yeah, we're working on that now with our new computer people.
Yeah,
It's a complicated system setup right now, and it just doesn't work properly. So hopefully this new group that we brought in is going to address that, and we're gonna get it on all 3 screens. What they should have done, and I got there later, or I would have done it, they should have taken the plans that were up front here and turned them around so everybody could have seen them. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, because I mean, people feel kind of funny walking up around
No, I get you.
everybody, and then there's wide.
And the reason we put the screens in was to see the plans, so we're working on that, yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address?
I just ask one question.
Nope, gotta come up to that.
I'm gonna be cordial, I'm just gonna ask the question.
Why are you not cordial now?
Oh, I get a little upset because it's been dragging on forever. I'm Alan Heimel, I have to go through all that again.
Yes, you do, you have to
All right,
say.
I'm Alan Heimel, 284 Woolley Road, West Milford, New Jersey, and I own the property block 7700, lot 1. With this regard to this whole thing, everything that you guys have proposed to the DEP, not once have you proposed to put my property back the original way. Why don't you try putting a proposal back to put my property back to the way it was and let the DEP decide on what everything you propose is less sufficient than what was there? Why is something not being proposed? We're sorry we did this. We would like to make Mr. Heimel happy. We would like to rectify the problem. We would like to put the riverbank to its natural state. What do we have to do that? Has that ever been done?
The conversation with the DEP, it's a give and take, and they tell us what they're looking for. And then, let me finish, please. And then when they tell us what we're looking for, we then bring that to our engineers, and the engineers put that together. We, as a board, do not plan anything. Our engineers put it together, then present it to the DEP, and then DEP says, this is good, but this is bad, or you need to change this, or you need to do that. That's where the give and take comes back that Councilwoman Kent was talking about. Now, what you're saying is, why are you not involved in that process? You would not be involved in that process, because that's internal between the engineer and the DEP. Once they come to a solution, both of them, then you would be involved at that part.
And I looked at the proposed plan that you did, and it shows the original grade of the property. Why is it not being proposed to put it back to the original grade? You're showing right on that proposal to the DEP. I think that's what should be proposed to the DEP, not what was proposed. Not a roll of coconut skin to put back in there and staked in, and that's it.
Yeah, I can't speak to the plan itself. I'm not part of that. So
Right on the plan, it says original grade. Why is it not being proposed to put it back? That's my, as I sit here, but you gotta understand why I get upset. Everything is less than what I originally had, and that's not fair. It shouldn't be less than what was
But again, it's
originally
between
there.
if the DEP approves it and says yes to that, and I'm not saying they can or can't, if they do, that's what we're gonna go by.
But what I'm saying is, you're not proposing that to the DEP. You're not proposing to put it back original.
So, Mr. Heimel, I understand what you're saying. I was not privy to the conversations, but I have been in communication with the administrator, and I was aware of the fact that the DEP had indicated that they were not amenable to altering the riverbank, and that they were not amenable to filling in due to it being in the floodplain. Now, is that accurate?
So what they said, yes, so to a certain degree, they said that it's very difficult to restore the riverbank to its original state, that they were okay with the restoration plan that the engineer came up with. They
But
also
Paul,
issued-
can I just interrupt you?
Sure.
When you say it's very difficult, it's difficult from the sense of complying with regulations, not physically difficult,
Right.
right?
So.
So I mean, I think that's what this gentleman needs to
I
hear.
was told by Mr. Perez that he will approve a boulder reconstruction of the riverbank. It's called the steep slope riverbank reconstruction. That's what he will approve, to have it go back. And I talked to Mr. Perez, I guess you
Yes.
talked to him to whatever.
I did.
I had a lengthy conversation with him on Friday. And that's what he will
Boulder.
approve, but you have to put boulders. But here's the thing, and I understand the way it works. It's a cost issue. Of course, the town doesn't want to pay what it's going to cost to put back.
We're not even, I'll be honest with you, we're not even up to a cost estimate yet. We haven't looked at
Well, a
numbers at all.
steep slope to put it back, he's going to want boulders put back there,
Okay, but we
huge
haven't even
rocks. I
addressed
know, but what I'm saying is, okay, I don't want to drag it out any longer. I just want to know why you don't put in a proposal to put it back the way it was.
Because our engineer, who we hire, says, this is what I'm gonna propose to the DEP, and if the DEP says yes to that, then we're all good to go.
No, we're not.
And that was
Well, that is the yes,
consistent with
yes.
what the DEP said they were amenable to
Right.
or not. So I think that I think what the mayor talked about a couple minutes ago was accurate. You're being told one set of things by the DEP, and we're being told a different. So we're gonna discuss it in closed session.
Okay.
And then we'll
But
approach.
Again, I would just like to say, I think it should be proposed to the DEP that the Borough of Pompton Lakes would like to do the right thing and put the property back to the way it originally was. And then let them come back and say, well, that's impossible, or them say, okay, this is what you have to do to put it back that way. That's what should be
It's my
done.
understanding that that's how it started, and that the plan submitted was consistent with what we were told they would accept. But you deserve to hear that from them in our presence. I don't think anyone argues with that, so.
See, I think the part that you're missing, going with the attorney, if all parties agree on this, unfortunately, your voice doesn't carry in that if the DEP is saying this is how I accept it to go.
So if the DEP says all that, I'm addressing the mayor and council and everybody else that's involved. Do you feel that that's the right thing?
We can't make that call. It's our engineer and the DEP.
No,
We have to
I'm
find-
asking you on a personal thing.
We can't answer on a personal.
You can't answer that
No.
you think it's okay that the town did this to my property.
No, we can't
And
answer
that's the
that.
way,
We
because
want
the
to put it
DEP
back, we
says.
want to put it back so it's right for you
Then
and right
put
for
that,
the DEP.
then put in that proposal that that's the way
We'll
you
talk
would
about
like
that
to
in
put it
closed
back.
session, yes.
That's what I would like you to submit and have your engineers submit.
Okay,
All right, that's.
thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Speaking as a member of the Shade Tree Commission, Councilman Devine, you're talking about the ordinance for curb and sidewalk. If you can just talk with our liaison, Maria Kent, and make sure that we're all on the same page.
Sure.
I don't want to go out there and talk to the public and misrepresent what the borough is saying.
Okay, absolutely.
Well, she'll be part of the, when he puts it together, she'll get the packet of what we're proposing. We're not there yet.
Okay.
Well, there's nothing to propose.
Right, well, right.
Not
that's true,
changing
that's
it,
true,
the
yes.
ordinance, but yes, I will talk to Councilman.
You know, because if you
I
do change
understand.
the ordinance, I need to know and.
Yeah, like I said,
talk to the
we don't plan
residents.
on changing the ordinance, but I want to make sure that Shade Tree and certainly Councilwoman Kent understand the ordinance committee's position and why we arrived at what we did. So I completely understand what you're saying, and I can do that.
All right, because I have a gentleman on Hill Court whose Sycamore is pushing his curb out.
Sure.
And I don't know that he wants to pay for a curb. Do you, Mr. Mayor?
I'm not on Hill Court, so you must be talking about the
you're
wrong
close
person.
by, though. You said you were going to be sending an engineer out to look at the roads for repaving? Is that,
We do have a survey of that, and this year we're looking at Howard, Ackerman, and Hirschfield.
oh, Hirschfield is a small street that I had brought up. I walked it the other day, I counted 48 patches in that street,
Pretty
so
bad.
it's, it's time.
So we're going to, look at the funding, I think engineer may need an estimate, but those are the roads we're targeting for this year.
Okay, good. In the past, you were talking about permits for large fishing groups on the Pompton Lake. Has anything happened with that?
Part of the discussion we
Yeah,
had.
that's what we discussed tonight. So it needs some, it needs some adjustments, and general discussion with the council before we move forward with introduction, but we are moving in that direction.
Because I was looking at the Fish and Game laws, getting ready for the season to start. And I noticed in the records for the state of New Jersey that the Pompton Lakes has 2 records
Pike,
that
right?
have been long-standing. So I know every fisherman from around the state see that and want to come. So it pertains to what you're talking about. So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address us? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Council President Polidori, Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approach the floor. Anybody approach the floor?
I have something I'd like to say.
Okay.
Pompton Lakes is a town that has never been short on volunteerism, and I appreciate that. It's why I would ask for something like a volunteer day, so that we can celebrate all of the hard work that our volunteers put into this community. However, I do have some concerns about 2 of the appointments that were made tonight. We made a comment was made about an individual that was appointed to the zoning board with 25 years of experience in that field, and you can't ask for anything better than that. Appointing a volunteer to a board with a tremendous amount of experience in that background is outstanding. We had a application that was submitted for an appointment on the planning board for an Army veteran with spanning 3 decades of engineering that wasn't even considered for the position. The gentleman that was considered for the position spoke out in public session to some of our residents in regards to a member of another board that was incredibly inappropriate in his behavior on the dais. And his response was that if you don't have the intestinal fortitude to stand up here and speak, then you need to just buck it up. So I hope that going forward, that behavior is not carried onto any more of our boards, because we should be discouraging any of our residents being spoken to like that. So I hope that we can learn to work a little bit more respectfully with each other at these meetings, and that is all.
Thank you. Anyone else have approach the floor? Nope. Okay, motion to adjourn. Into closed session. Yes, I'm sorry, in closed session.
Also, there is one add-on that I'd like to have for closed session, and that would be attorney-client communication with regard to appointment and removal processes.
Okay.
Not to discuss any individuals, but to discuss processes.
Okay, I didn't get a motion to go into closed session. Who was so moved? Councilman Devine?
Stay.
Councilman Begg. I'm sorry, everybody, I'm gonna throw you out because you can't stay for closed session. So, thank you for coming.
We are recording.
Okay, in closed session, we discussed negotiation and contract, what do you want to call it?
Contract negotiations, attorney-client communication regarding appointment and removal processes, and a personnel matter for which the employee was riced.
Okay. Okay, motion to adjourn.
No, we have to do, we have to authorize the
Oh,
resolution.
the resolution for the...
Second.
I filed it already.
Resolution,
Was it accepting the hearing
It
officer?
just says 23 dash,
23 something.
so that would be,
Look at the agenda.
2370.
Findings of the hearing officer.
Well, you want to put it, you're going to put a number on it, or you're not going to put a
You know,
number?
it doesn't really reference the effective date of the suspension.
2383.
Is it 83? Does it say that?
Yeah, it would be 83.
83.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. You want to read it, or just 2383 Borough of Pompton Lakes?
It says dates to be determined by the teacher, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay, do I have to take a roll call on this, or?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Councilman Booth.
Yes.
Councilman Devine.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent.
Yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We
Councilman
didn't come out of
Devine?
closed session, did we?
I
Yeah.
thought we did, yeah. Councilman Devine, I second.
Second.
Council President Palladori, all in favor?
Now we have to go into open session,
No, we're closed.
We're done?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we should have opened the door technically, but.
Yeah.
no? Yeah.
So go back to closed session? What do you want me to do?
Nobody there.
Just, do another roll call on the resolution.
Oh, roll call on the resolution, please.
Councilwoman Polidori?
Yes.
Councilman Day?
Yes.
Councilman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilman Deline?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim?
Yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Councilman Devine, Council President Polidori. Okay, thanks.
Good night.
Okay.